Hi, I'm Kim,
I'm Torra.
and this is our podcast, Parenting Young Adults with Kimm and Torra. Thank you for joining us today. So, today we have a variety of topics that we want to discuss. And the first one is the shooting of Adam Toledo or
Mhm,
Toledo, depending on how
mhm.
you pronounce it.
Absolutely. Um, I waited pretty much all day to see the video. I didn't know if I wanted to. I thought I had gotten to that point where I was like, I heard Eric Gardner's mother say that people send her videos all the time and she just doesn't even watch them, which reminded me of you. And I
Mhm.
said, maybe I need to start conditioning myself to not watch. But I have this thing where I feel like a duty to walk a mile in their shoes with them. If they had to actually endure that pain and the family has to endure that pain, for me who still have my family here and still have the protection of the universe so far, I feel like I should go through that with them.
So
I
that's
don't,
your way of showing solidarity to the with the victims.
absolutely. And so when I saw it, it caused me pause. Like, I had so many questions and I wanted to know what makes you think that a 13-year-old in their mind can comply with an adult making a decision with a gun in their hand. If just like with Tamir Rice, they told him to hold his hands up and then they told him to drop his weapon and he did everything that they said and still ended up dead, because they get the right to say in a split second, I can make a decision as long as you have a weapon, which I think is so wrong, because at what point do you realize the person with the weapon could be the victim? If we are eventually, have someone on who can give us, insight and testimony on what a police officer might feel or justify what he might feel at the time. But I often wonder, a victim just keeps getting victimized. If there's a woman who's being assaulted in the worst way and she gets away and she happens to take the person's gun for protection as she's running away, here comes a police officer seeing this woman running away. She doesn't know 3 streets over there was a shooting. She doesn't know 3 streets over there was a call made that gunshots were fired. She doesn't know that, because all she's trying to do is get away with the weapon in case her perpetrator is, coming after her again. Now, here come around the corner, an officer sees a woman running, boom, she's dead after just making her great escape. That's all I think about when I see this. Because I do not see, but what do you expect? She had a gun. She was supposed to. She was a victim. And this is a hypothetical situation, but it easily could be a real
But
situation.
I saw a video recently where a white man, well, a white man ran a commissary, and a
Mhm.
black food truck owner and her husband, they used
I
to,
saw
you
that.
saw that? And
Oh,
this
that
white
broke my
man
heart.
went off on her.
And had
She
a
had
gun
called
and was
her
trying to kill
husband,
her and her
but
husband.
her husband held him down until the police came, and she was so
So
afraid
scared.
to call the police. Her husband had to say several times, call the
Yep.
police,
She
because
said
she
she
was
was
afraid
scared.
they would come in and shoot her husband.
And she said to them, she stopped them in cold turkey, used her body as a shield, and said, listen, my husband is a tall black guy. He's holding a white guy because he's the one with the gun. The white guy is, she said, no, you don't understand what I'm telling you. I don't want you going in there shooting the black guy. The black guy is my husband. She said this. And I felt every bit of her pain. I
That
felt
you
it.
have to even say it. And then going back to the situation with Adam Toledo, or
Mhm,
even the woman in yours, just don't even go with that. Let's just go with
mhm,
Adam Toledo.
mhm,
He had a weapon, whatever, whatever. The reality is that the job of the police is
mhm.
not to kill people that have weapons. If you have a weapon and they order you to drop your weapon, and you drop your weapon and you throw your hands up and turn around as you've been instructed,
Did.
then
Mhm.
their job is to take you to jail or
Exactly.
figure out whether you need to go to jail.
But
Their job
even if
is
he's
not to
13,
shoot you. I
what
don't
if
care
he
if they're
was,
89, 17,
wait,
50,
right?
40. Once you comply with the police,
Well, what is complying
their
mean? What does
job is to
complying mean?
take you to jail, not to kill you. I
But
don't
what is
care if you have an AK-47. If you drop it, that's
but
it.
what does comply mean? Because if you say, "Let me see your hands," and if there is a gun in your hand, and you're turning around to let the police officer see your hand,
Now
What a
you gotta drop
surprise.
that gun. You gotta drop
But
that
he
gun.
never said drop your weapon. He said stop and turn around and let me
You
see your
talking about
hand.
Adam Toledo?
Hmm.
Did he have a weapon?
I didn't see a weapon in the hand in the still photos that I saw or the video I saw. I didn't see the weapon. I saw
Well,
the weapon.
this is
I
just a
saw
hypothetical.
there was a gun on the other side of the fence where he was, as if he could have had it or someone else could have had it, and they threw it. I don't. I didn't see him in his hand running with it. I didn't see it in his hand, you know, throw it. So
So
I didn't
in
see
the
that.
legal profession, we call this a red herring. I think you just call this that in life. It's a red
Mhm,
herring. It's a line of argument that we go down that really
mhm,
doesn't even have anything to do with it. But because if there was a gun in the grass, if he had a
mhm,
gun, he used to have a gun, he has a gun now, but he drops the gun. At such time as that happens, there is no more imminent danger and there is no justification for any use of force, and certainly not lethal force. That doesn't, people commit crimes, the police's job is to take them in, not to
mhm.
kill them after they commit a crime. That is not their job.
Okay, so even if this little boy was a victim of some sort, and that day he no longer wanted to be that victim, whether it was he was in a gang, I'm not saying he was, but if he was headed down that road to be in a gang, whether he was hanging out with the wrong crowd, whether he was told, here, you take the gun, you're younger, you will only get, they're going to just give you probation, whatever he was told, why does he have to end up dead as a 13-year-old for being in the I mean doing something wrong that he didn't complete? Like, there was no one killed. He didn't point the I know for a fact he didn't point the gun at the police officers. I mean, that's a clear view of the video. There was no pointing of any gun. So whatever the police officer said he thought he saw or what he thought he had, um when does it become okay just because there's a gun in the vicinity or you think you see a gun, it's okay?
So
Because
like what I'm saying to you is that even if he had killed somebody,
mhm,
the little boy had just killed somebody and he
mhm,
had a gun in his hand and he threw it over at the fence, and then the police comes and say, um, throw raise your hands and turn around. At such time as he raises his hands and turns around, they have no justification to shoot him. That's what the jail is for. The
okay,
people who have murdered other
so
people.
why are we
It is
skipping that
not
step?
their, it's not their right or responsibility to kill somebody, even if he kills 70 people. It's just, I mean, I just think we're having the wrong discussion.
So
The
why are we skipping that step though? Why are we skipping the step that he's supposed to go to jail that night? He's
Because
supposed to have a
they're
criminal
just
record.
killing people. They're just killing people. And that's why I don't really want to focus on, did they have a gun? Did they commit a crime? Are they a victim? None of that matters.
Okay,
As
okay.
long as you're not a threat to the police, you have no weapon in your hand, you're not charging them, you are complying with, that's why the that's why the white mass murderers go to jail, because that's what the police are supposed to do, take you to jail, not kill you. That's what
Okay.
we have a court and a jury for. We
Okay.
don't know what the
So is
circumstances.
it for us though? Is the court and the jury for us? Or is it always going to be
I mean,
against?
it's just a rip off. I mean, and I'm a lawyer, and I just think it's a racket, and I'm just,
Because I never see where we make it to court. I never see. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, we
they
did
just
with
kill
the
you right on the spot.
yeah, the
With
last
this,
person made it to court was OJ, and I believe the cameras were watching, and that's the only reason why he made it. He made a
the police
great escape.
are
The
becoming
cameras were on.
vigilantes. And the problem with that is, number one, we don't want our police to be vigilantes. Number two, they're racist as hell. So when they see a black person, they just take it upon, we're gonna shoot him. He killed somebody. Oh, there's a gun over there. Oh, he sold some cigarettes. Oh, he stole a soda from the store. We're gonna kill him. And that's a problem. They're racist. And I mean, I don't know another way to say it. And they've been infiltrated by the KKK for decades,
Oh,
and they're racist.
that's
And
so
they
scary.
really, at this point, as far as I'm concerned, well, I'll let that go. I'll just say that the
So
ones that we
scary.
see are racist,
Yeah.
and we see the
And
results.
they have such a bad name, and it doesn't even look like anyone wants to, revamp that look of, listen, we're here to serve and protect.
They're not. I mean, I just don't think that they are. I think that, I think I said this before, they were the slave patty rollers and they
Oh yeah, you
descended
have.
from that. And now they're infiltrated by the KKK. And we know that. We've seen their communications on Facebook and stuff, like, we know. that a lot of them are Ku Klux Klan members. And I know that there are Black police. I know that every police officer is not a rogue police, but the problem is there's so many of them that are. As far as I'm concerned, we need to figure out something different because, in my mind, the whole way of policing is not working. And as you're saying, they're supposed to protect and serve. All they're doing is killing, bullying, harassing. I don't really think that they're doing what they're set up. You saw the, did you see the video of the guy who was driving 65 in a 70-mile zone? And they
I could not believe that.
never seen
I
anybody
literally
like that
think
in
I
my
shed
life.
a tear when he said, "You're pulling me over for driving 5 miles slower." Like, I've never heard of that. I heard of 5 miles over the speed limit, but 5 miles under the speed limit. He said, because I'm trying to be cautious. I'm getting pulled over for driving because it's
And we're gonna give you a warning. A warning for what? What would that? So to me, the police perhaps have become a function that is no longer useful to society, at
and
least
that's
not
why
from
they're
a
saying
Black
defund,
person's
defund,
perspective.
defund. And I guess, well, you know what? Let's hold off on this because we are getting so deep, and I really want to have our guest that's coming up in the next couple of days to weigh in on that. If you don't mind to say
Let's
that,
just move on.
that
So then we wanted to talk about 6 degrees of separation.
yes, I just found out, which I thought was so amazing, that the lieutenant in the military was related to Eric Gardner, the lieutenant who was pepper sprayed and pulled over in Virginia. He's the nephew of Eric Gardner. That was his uncle, and I could not believe. The mother said she said she went on TV and she said everyone was like, well, why didn't you tell everyone that the lieutenant was your nephew? And she said, well, who's my nephew? And she said, no way, that, are you kidding me? She said she had no clue until they, were not getting on her, but were like informing her that that was our family. That's our family. And she couldn't believe it. It broke her heart. She said it nearly took her off her feet. And that just shows me like how relevant this situation has become in today's world of it's happening so many times that it's starting to happen to multiple family members. And even the little boy who was killed, Dante Wright,
Mhm.
he went to school, or his dean at his school was Joyce Floyd girlfriend, present girlfriend at the time of his death. She was taught him. She was his, overseer as a teacher and as a dean. And she could not believe it. She was like, I know this little boy. I knew him. I know him. Like, how is it that it's happening so much? Even though these were two different counties, I think it was 10 miles away from each other. It's happening so frequently that people are starting to know each other. One, Eric Gardner was in New York. His nephew's in Virginia.
It's
Like,
too much. It's too much.
we're starting to know each other. I knew him. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, I know I've had friends three brothers who are no longer here, and the mother had three sons, and they were all taken away tragically. And I often wonder, how does that happen? But then when it starts happening in different places,
Mhm.
and happening for different reasons, and I'm not talking about being killed by the police. I'm talking about death itself. It's just coming so rapidly.
No, 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 no. All of these examples you're using are death by police. They're
Yeah.
all death
Yeah.
by police because we understand that death is a part of the life cycle
Right.
and related people are going to be dying. But
Mhm.
what makes this significant is that all of these people were killed by the
Well,
police.
this was this happened. The three brothers, I believe, they were from Chicago, and I don't know if they were from there, but they lived there, and all three of them had been killed by law enforcement at some point in time. And I just was wondering, how is that even possible? How
And
is
they
that
want to
even?
talk
I was
about blue
reading that story.
lives. What is a blue life? There is no blue life. When you take your uniform off, you are just a human being. We're going to take our skin off. That's why I hate when they try to
Can't
compare
a blue life matter?
homosexuality um, to race, because race is immutable. We
Yeah.
cannot change that. You
No.
can pretend not to be gay and
Hmm.
then you get to get treated just like everybody else.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know where America's going. I don't know what to say.
That just
I
it
just,
starts to hurt me when you hear so many stories of how people are so related to the next tragic victim, and it just feels like it's one cycle. We haven't even gotten off of the Eric Gardner cycle yet. You can still see that man struggling and fighting for his life and asking them to stop, and why are you doing this to me, and feeling like I'm a human being. I'm out here. I wasn't bothering anybody. Why are you messing with me? And I get what everybody's saying about, but when the police walks up to you, they want you to do and act a certain way. But even when you do that, it's still not a good outcome. It's starting to get to the point where all of us are getting paranoid.
well,
All of us.
there are a couple things. One is like you're saying, when you comply with the police, that should
Mhm.
bring an end to the hostility. They certainly have a right, if it's appropriate, to handcuff you, to cart you off to jail,
Mhm.
but they have no right to kill you. You are not a threat to them. There is a problem that they perceive every Black person to be a
Yeah.
threat, apparently, whether it's a Black woman, a Black
Yeah.
child, a Black man. We're just taking you down, shooting you,
With
wrestling
no
you,
regard.
slamming you to the ground.
Yeah.
The problem all the way around. And then the other thing is, I don't care what the police expect. We pay them. I don't want to
Oh,
hear when the police walk up to you, whatever. When the police walk up to me, they need to behave in a way that is consistent with the job we've assigned them to do. And that is not to kill us. That is not to make those kinds of decisions right on the street, choking people out, kneeing them in the neck till they're dead, shooting them in the chest, shooting them in the back. I don't need any people like that. I don't want to pay them and I don't want to employ them. And if that's what they're going to do, I don't need them anymore.
but didn't you hear the lingo of the police officer who pulled over the lieutenant? Uh didn't you hear the lingo, how he said you're gonna ride the lightning rod, and yeah, it is your,
I didn't hear it.
oh, I mean, the lingo was not even
I
like
heard that
human.
he was saying some stuff though. What did he say?
You're gonna ride the
You're going
lightning
to have a
rod.
bad day, something.
Yeah, this is, yeah, this is a bad day for you. Like the the cursing, the way you talk, it took all the humanality out of everything. Like I didn't see anything human about the conversation. Like, listen, we wanted you to pull over. I understand you were in a wanted to go to a well-lit place. You've upset me. None of that. Like it was no, I need to. I need to respect you. And even when they took him into the back of the vehicle and they were talking to him, it was never even a respect value. It was no respect
So
there.
then tell me why I should want. Well, we said we're going to talk about that later. So
Mhm.
I'm just going to leave it right there because if we go down that road, we'll have some conversations that we really want to save when we have some
His name was Lieutenant Karan Nazara. So I'm sorry about that.
Nazareth.
Nazario.
Oh, Nazario.
Nazario. Okay. That
Okay.
was his last name. Yeah, Karan Nazario.
All right. Well, let's move on. We'll come back and talk about that again next week. Let's talk about the vaccine and how all the stuff that's
I
happening.
got my second one yesterday, and all day yesterday I felt okay. And then it hit me probably about 3 o'clock this morning, knocked me off my feet. It was horrible.
What did you experience?
I had very much flu-like symptoms. I was short of breath, um, the worst headache ever, very nauseous and dizzy. Um, and I hadn't taken anything, of course, because we don't like to take conventional medicine. So I waited as long as I could, and then I was given an ibuprofen, and it did break the fever, and it did give me a little bit energy after I ate some vegetables. I ate a big bowl of vegetables, so I did start seeing some energy come back. But I was flatlined, like I was like, whoa,
So you had some symptoms that remind you of what one would expect if they got COVID,
yeah, yeah.
especially with the breathing part.
Hmm.
And that must have been scary
It
because
was horrific for me because I was taking little sip breaths, like, and I was like, oh, come on now. This can't be happening to me. This is not real. Like it was real. It was very real. And it wore me out. When I guess when you can't really get your full breath and take in air and exhale and inhale like properly, it wears you out. So I was so lethargic that I couldn't drink anything. I was dehydrated. So I did, once I was able to get some assistance and help me get some food and drinks and medicine in me, then I was able to be like, okay. But I still feel a little loopy. It's not 100%. And there is a very strong achy pain in your arm. Very much so.
Wow, I'm really sorry to hear that. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I'm
Mhm.
really sorry
Yeah, I
to hear that.
Googled it and I heard a lot of other people suffering. Well, I don't know if they call it suffering, but it was suffering for me. Have gone through the same thing. And they were like, after the 2 days, you start feeling, nothing. And I was like, okay, well, I can wait. It's the weekend. We can wait, for a
I've
better
heard all
day.
kind of stuff, which I will refrain from sharing with you because I don't want to put that in your head and freak you out. But I've
Yeah.
heard all kind of stuff in terms of adverse reactions
For
to
the
the
second shot or shots in general? For the COVID shot in
vaccine.
general or second shot?
After the second shot. Yes. I mean,
Okay.
like there are, well, I mean, I don't know if you want to hear it or you don't.
No, I want to hear it. I want to
Okay.
hear it. Just so if I feel anything, I know to look out for it. And
Well, if you experience this, you would know because I have seen video of people having adverse neurological reactions. So they're unable to control their body. They're shaking the upper part, the bottom part. I
mhm,
am a
I can see
vaccine
that.
injury, I'm a vaccine injury lawyer. Um, did I talk about this last time that I turned down cases of this nature because somebody
Mm,
called me and asked me, I'm listed as a vaccine
mhm,
injury lawyer on
mhm,
the court's website, and they said that their husband had taken the shot in March and he's
mhm.
still in the hospital because he is unable
What?
to move his limbs and that he's really healthy and
He was healthy before the shots?
he had just had a physical in February, and the doctors themselves had determined that there was nothing else that it could have been but the COVID vaccination. Now, I mean, that's an adverse reaction. I don't expect everybody to have that, but
Mhm.
it does appear that people are having neurological reactions to the vaccination.
My body is so sensitive, and I don't know. Have you ever been had anesthesia and gone in for an operation?
Yes.
Okay, right before I go in, I can taste the medication in the back of my throat and nasal capacity. I
Um,
can taste it. I don't know. They always said I'm one of like a million. Like it's either an oniony,
oh,
garlicky smell or taste, or it's like a chemical.
mhm.
Either way, I never can forget. Even when I wake up, I can still remember tasting that right before I go under.
Yeah, I don't think I take.
And with this shot,
Mhm.
it's not in my head. It's real. I can taste something. I can taste something in the back of my nasal passage going down into my throat. I can taste something.
What does it taste like?
It is like a chemically faint, very faint chemically taste.
Wow.
Very faint.
Wow.
Almost like an anesthesia type of chemically taste. Almost just and for me to have that much just tiredness. I feel like I don't know if they give you. I don't know what's in it. I don't know what the makeup of. I've never gone through to analyze what's in this vaccine. I just trusted that it's going to keep me safe from if anything is released that's coming up or whatever. That I'm going to be at least somewhat safe. But I really feel something. I've been tasting it all day long.
And have you heard that they're now suggesting that who said it? Pfizer? Somebody said that they're thinking that people are going to need a third shot
I just heard the
12
booster
months.
shot. I just heard there. I don't think I'm gonna do that. Now that if I had Moderna and I believe that if they tell me I need a booster shot, I'm not getting that. That I'm not getting that anytime soon. No, this is gonna have to do for right now. I don't know if Pfizer just didn't give enough. They miscalculated the dosage, but I'm not doing that right now. I can't.
What
This
about
is
the
draining.
fact that they're now pausing the
Johnson
administration
and
of the
Johnson.
Johnson and Johnson shot? And
That's
I
good.
actually have a law school classmate who, when I was telling him about the messenger RNA, he
Mhm,
was like, "Oh no, 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 I didn't take that one. I really need to reach out to him." And he
mhm.
was like, "I took the Johnson and Johnson one." And I'm thinking, well, now how do all those people feel who jumped up and took that shot? And look at what's going on.
I guess the ones who aren't getting the blood clots and all the, uh, ailments that came with that are probably feeling okay. But I'm quite sure they're very nervous because there was one that died in the study, and there was one that is being treated for blood clots in the brain, and then there was another one who is really messed up from it. And I believe my brother and I were just having this, one of my brothers and I were just having this conversation. He's also dedicated 21 years in the military. And he said when he went there, he wanted the Johnson & Johnson shot. And he said God had favor for him. He said they were like, sir, I know you signed up for it. And as of yesterday, we had it, but we ran out and you're going to have to get the Moderna and get 2 shots. And then the next day they recalled it. They
Wow.
pulled it off the shelf. So he was so blessed in that aspect. He said, I couldn't even believe it. He said the next day after he was supposed to get it, they called it off.
And
So
so they are continuing to administer all the other shots. Is just Johnson and Johnson that's on pause?
Johnson & Johnson's on pause. Pfizer is saying they need a booster. And Moderna hasn't had pretty much any problems, knock on all the wood and lucky charms out there. And I hope I'm one of the ones that are lucky too, because all my friends have had Moderna. All my friends,
All fine, so
teachers,
fine.
most of all the teachers, healthcare workers, they got the Moderna. My sister-in-law, we all got the Moderna, and so far so good as far as their first shot. Everybody had their first shot. 90% of them had their second shot. I think me and my sister-in-law were one of the last ones to get our second shot. So, and I'm telling you, it was a doozer for me.
Did your sister have an adverse reaction too?
Her arm hurt really bad, and she said she felt a little sluggish the first day. Sure, hers was like just a 24-hour thing. She said when she woke up, her arm was hurting. She took something for it, and she felt fine. But her second one is coming up Monday, and I cannot wait to ask her how she feels. But Monday she gets her second shot, and
So all of your friends and family members that took the shot, did they do it in the same kind of way that you did? Like, I'm not researching it, but I trust that the government's protecting us, or
yep.
did any of them like do it in in-depth
It
analysis?
was even that, and well, what else? What other choices do we have? It was
Okay.
that, or whatever. What other choices do we have? Like, what are you waiting for? And that was my thing. My thing is, I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to wait for whatever the next strain variant that might come out. I didn't want to wait. I wanted to get it while it was new. It's, everybody knows pretty much what might be going on, and then get my shot. And then if later on, as they get, more people start coming up with, hey, I made up a shot and I got a shot. And I don't know what that might entail, because I always think better gets weaker as time go on, just like everything else.
And so you told me that now there's some big debate or argument in the Senate between Fauci and the senators.
Yes. Being as though we're on our podcast, I will have to call my daughter back. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
It's on airplane mode. I don't know how she was break through the phone call, but yeah.
Back, wow, I have my phone off, so that's a good reminder.
Okay.
But you're saying that they're having some debate or some disagreement now?
Okay, so yeah, I was saying that Dr. Fauci and the congressman today were having a debate, because he wants to know, when are we going back to life where we can stop wearing masks, going birthday parties, get together. He feels like our constitution, the rights of our constitution has been suppressed since then.
Feels that Dr. Fauci?
No. He's saying we need to hold off, like don't gather so quickly, because there's another variant coming, and it's
So I'm clear, Dr. Fauci is in favor
argument,
of
and the Senate
continuing the restrictions.
yes,
The
yes.
Senate committee is in favor of, it's enough already. We need
Enough already.
life.
Enough already. Let's cut it off. Let's get back to normal. And he's saying, don't go so fast, because I'm telling you, just because we're getting the vaccines out there, and people need to still wear their masks. They can't just let their guards down. Not right now. And they're arguing with this poor doctor, and he's able to speak now because he's in a position where he's got backing from our president, our vice president, that are saying, look, you're in charge of this. You go out there and tell the American people what they need to know about this. So he has backing. He's saying things that he didn't say when we were under the past.
Well, I guess the question that I have is, if we still have to wear masks and we still have to social distance and we still cannot gather together with others, then why are you guys getting the vaccine? I thought that was the whole point. Already more, at least 25% of the American population has it. There's a certain percentage that grants herd immunity. Why are you all rushing out to get that if nothing's going to change? What is the incentive or even the point of it all?
I think, like you said, this is just a vaccine. It is not a cure. It's just a vaccine.
But a
So
vaccine is a cure. Well, it's not a cure, but it's a
mhm,
preventative measure that prevents the thing from happening. If this is not a preventative measure
mhm,
and it's not a cure and it
mhm.
doesn't change any of the restrictions, then what is the point?
I mean, I think it is something that's put in place to help with, as if we had a cold or a flu, just like they sell, Tylenol and flu, anything you're having complications with flu or complications with a cold, they still sell all the stuff and that, over the counter stuff, and they still even have prescription stuff. I think this is one of the things, like they can give you a shot uh, for the flu, doesn't mean you're not going to get it. You're just not going to have it as bad as you would. That's what I think. That's what I've told myself, that you still can get COVID. Is from everything I've read. You still can get COVID. However, it's not going to hurt you, or not going to, I'm not going to say hurt you, but it's not going to kill you as quick as it could have killed you if you didn't have the vaccine.
Someone else told me that too, but you have seen the breakthrough cases that end up in the hospital, can't breathe, right?
And see, that's what we only hear part of those stories. And you're right. You're right. I'm not, being oblivious to it. But what if they do have underlying other health conditions which contribute to, even if you did get COVID, that's not saying that if you already have a heart condition, you already have some type of, infection or virus, that's not just multiplied with the COVID virus. You know
But
what I'm
that's
saying?
why they took the vaccine. I mean, and that's the
I mean, yeah, I
that's
guess.
the logic of the seniors who are taking it, of the people with comorbidities,
Mhm.
is that I have these underlying conditions, so I'm going to take the vaccine so that if I do get it, it doesn't affect me as harshly as it otherwise would have. So to me, that is part of the purpose of the vaccine. So if it doesn't handle that, then I think the thing that I keep coming back to is, why are people doing it? Because it's not changing anything.
And I think on a larger scale, I see what you're saying. And that would be something I would love to even, like, probably, I don't know. We could probably find a doctor to ask that direct question, like, why are we taking it if it seems like it's not helping anything? From what I've seen, I feel like it's going to help in the long run. I feel like in the long run, if everyone has something in them to help protect them, it won't spread as easy. It won't become so contagious so easy. Like right now, people can't do anything and haven't done anything
Well,
because it's
I have,
so
yes, I
contagious.
can. Those of us who are not afraid do all kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
you're right. You're
We go
right.
out, we eat, we party, we
You're right.
travel, we
I
do all
agree.
kind of stuff.
I agree. And I'm one of them. I'm one of
You
them who,
travel
before I
too.
got,
You travel too.
yes, I traveled. I wasn't practicing good math.
Did we meet up? Have we met up for some good old wine and
Yeah.
stuff during COVID?
Yeah.
Have we met up?
And that's because I wasn't afraid. I wasn't afraid of anything of it. I wasn't afraid of catching it. I wasn't afraid of giving it to anyone. I wasn't. That was never my mindset. But it still didn't mean when in time I wasn't going to take or think I wanted to take proper precautions. I knew that I wanted to take proper precautions. I didn't know what else to do other than to wear my mask appropriately and get the vaccine. That's the only two things I knew I could do to contribute to helping keep other people safe and myself. And just to interject really quick, it was the representative Jim Jordan and Dr. Fauci going head to head today, and he was the one that everyone's saying that was trying to rip Dr. Fauci a new one because he's tired of living this life of behind
Most
COVID.
people are. That's why they're taking the vaccine. Truthfully, most of the people that I know are taking the vaccine because they're tired of the COVID restrictions. So that's why I initially posed the question, if the vaccine doesn't eliminate the COVID restrictions, then the very reason they took the shot.
Okay, now I didn't hear it that way at first. I see what you're saying then. I see what you're saying. You're saying if we still have to quarantine, if we still have to practice all of this other stuff, then what is the point? I get it now. I was thinking of it more so from a medical standpoint. Like, if COVID is still out here, if COVID is still killing people and making people sick and we can still get it, what is the point of taking it? I get that.
No, I meant, no, I meant the other,
And,
but
well, that's something we definitely should get somebody in as a professional to see, because that does make sense. You know, if we do have to still quarantine and do all that other stuff, what is the point?
yeah, then why have we done this? All right, well, we'll see if we can find somebody. I do know a physician, but I think we need more like an infectious disease specialist
Hmm.
who really could talk about,
Hmm.
what the point of it is. Let's look around and see if we can get somebody to help us figure out what's going on. All
Hmm.
right, so another thing we wanted to talk about is this military guy in Richland County, South Carolina,
Hmm.
who
Oh
bullied and
God.
harassed, and you said broke his phone because I stopped.
Yeah.
It was so aggressive that
Hmm.
I just stopped watching it because I didn't want to see that. And
Heartbreaking. When you have an African, we cannot, kids are all shapes, sizes, and colors. Okay. We know that. You know, we know that there's different nationalities. We know all of that. But there's a character. And the character for me is my thing. My is what counts for me. And we know that with kids, human beings, they're different characters. You might have the cool kids, and you might have the hippie kids, and you might have, the tree hugging hippie kids, and then you might have the kids that, are out there in the street that know a thing or two. You know this. And you know that they're different character or kids, and you can see them. They shout out at you, I mean, just like the punk rock era. If I shaved my head off on the side, had my, mohawk in the middle with my bracelets and my jacket, I'm a punk
the
rocker. You know
goth,
my
the goth
character.
kids that wear the big black boots and the black,
Exactly. We call them black
like,
clads.
mhm,
Yeah, we call them the black clad people that wear the big black boots.
we
They're
call them
just
goth.
different.
We call them goth.
Goth,
Like gothic.
gothic kids. Yeah, they were also called goth. So you just know when you see a different kid what category he falls in. I'm only talking about character. And you see this boy who reminds me of my son, because that's the character my son is in. My
Like
son,
mild mannered child.
mild manner. And I'm not just saying he doesn't walk around with his pants. My son does not walk around with his pants hanging below his booty. He
Mine
does wear a belt. He
either.
does.
Yeah.
He's very clean cut, very modelly conscious. So I look at this little boy and I see him being friends with my son, into whatever, robotics, stocks, just he's not into hanging out in the street. And he's not saying anything's wrong with that. I hung out in the street too.
No, you're
But
talking about a type of
I'm
child. The
talking about
child
a type of
reminds you of
child, a
the,
character. You
yeah.
can look at him and see this child has not stepped on hardly any cracks in this world.
And the thing is,
Why are you picking on him?
and you could look at his reaction to how
Wild.
he was being treated, and you know clearly that that white guy was a straight up bully. He was a bully because
There
he
you
did
go.
not have somebody who was meeting him toe to toe and saying, "What?
No.
This is my neighborhood too." No, the little boy, he was just awkward, and I'm not doing anything. And
Yeah, and he still was like, do you see this? Like, ask him, why is this being done to me? At that point, you're in the military, you've come across different characters. You've been in the military. So this guy is very well mannered, very mild and meek. He's not going to swing on
and
you.
you can see from his reaction to you that you are way above his head and way
Okay.
beyond his ability to even deal with. He wasn't even really able to deal with that guy.
He
And
wasn't.
that's just a bully all day and all night.
And what aches me is that that's all I have seen. When I not all, but when I have seen a toe-to-toe matchup where there's this guy who happens to be one nationality and the other happens to be another, and they meet up, it's
Well, I don't want
always.
to do that. It's not because, I mean, I will let you say what you want to say, but I
Mhm,
want to be clear on what my position is. It's not that he happens to be one nationality and
mhm,
somebody happens to be another. It
mhm,
is that a white male has chosen to attack a black male
mhm.
because he is black.
Hmm.
There's no other thing for that. He certainly is not confronting white males who walk down the street. He
No.
confronted that young man because he was black. So it's not some happenstance. Ooh, it just happened. No, it is a targeted bullying and harassment,
Hmm.
in my opinion. And I think that he knew what he was doing. And when we do see a black man that has guts and ability to fight and steps up to them,
It
those
never do that.
bullies back down.
Yeah, but it also never ends that way. It always ends
Oh, I've
that
seen black people knock them out
right,
in the
and that's my
street.
point.
I've
That's
seen
my
them
point.
knock them
And so
out.
that's
And
why
be
I
like,
say
oh,
you're
oh,
getting
what? I've seen black women slap the crap out of white
yeah,
women,
yeah,
because everybody is not here for that.
no. And that's my thing is they always seem to me searching for that precious little boy that I saw, which
That's not
my
going to
some
harm.
of my friends, some of my family members would have never got met with that off the break because they don't even look like the type that you even want to start it with because it's just not going to end well for you.
But
You
if
know,
you really got a problem with black folk, then start it with some of them and leave our innocent, naive people alone. Step to the people that are ready to step to you back, because some
but
of
they,
us
they
are ready
never
to step.
do though. That's my point. They never ever do. That is far few and in between when they do slip up
And get
under
knocked the heck out.
under the alcoholic influence and their judgment is off like, oh, wait, hold on. He's not the cute little
Mm.
boy that would just ignore me or want me to leave him alone. This is one that was waiting out all night for some smoke. They
Mm.
never, that's far few and in between. And that's all I'm saying to you. He could look at this guy and see that he was precious and so sweet. And so I wanted to
And
hug this
just
kid.
walking down the street. It'd be different. He wasn't even smoking a cigarette. He wasn't carrying a beer. He was just
Boombox
walking
playing
down the
disrespectful
street.
music, nothing. And I'm saying this because these are all the things I've seen black men killed and stopped for. Playing
Which
music,
is inappropriate too, but
playing
this
music.
one wasn't even doing that.
No, and not saying anything I said was inappropriate in the least. I'm just saying that's I've seen
Yes, a little boy named Jordan got killed in Florida for playing his music at the gas station.
exactly.
I
Go
mean,
figure.
these people are out of control.
And so at this point, I'm saying, and the reason why I say this is because, and I have to say this, this for me, okay? This is why I say happen to be a different origin, different nationality, different race, is because there was a white woman who witnessed this and was as angry as I am. And I felt her anger through this message that I read. She
Good.
said she was outraged and she grabbed him and she pulled him to safety and said, how dare you? And she called the police and she told the police exactly what happened. And still, he was only charged first with the slap on his wrist before the other charges came through when the community stood on his front lawn and was like, we want to talk to you
Which
now.
is exactly what one of the things we need to start doing. That
Mhm.
is one of the things we need to start doing is approaching the perpetrators and letting them know we
Yeah,
stand behind the
we
victim
stand together.
and you're not going
What
to
is it?
get off with
United we stand, divided we fall.
Mhm.
Can't hurt anybody with a finger, but if I ball up my fist, I can strike a mighty blow. I mean, that's the key to life. I always believed.
And so you're saying that he has some different charges before he had the third degree assault
Oh
charge?
yeah, he just had almost like a slap on his. I wish I could, as a lawyer, I know you would know exactly what the charge was, but it was almost like I bumped into you. If
Like
I
a little
hit you with my
misdemeanor.
shoulder and you hit me with your shoulder, neither one of us know who
Oh,
was at
nobody's
fault.
at fault. We don't know
But
who
because
did it.
I complained, you get a little slap on your wrist because you didn't complain. So yeah.
Well, I think, one of the things that we said we would talk about, or that I suggested we might want to talk about in our last episode, was what are some of the things we can do to change what we as Black people have been experiencing in this country. And I think that we just saw one of them, which is to stand up, and I don't mean go protesting down at the mayor's office, but going right to the perpetrator's home,
Mhm.
crowding up on that lawn and saying, either the law's going to get you or we're going to get you, because this is not going to fly. And then I think that's one thing that we can do. Do you have any suggestions about things that could be done?
I do, and mine is always controversial because this is not the first time I have visited this. What can we do? Like I told you, I have lots of Caucasian friends that have called me and said, "What can we do? What
Okay.
can we do as Caucasian people to bring light, comfort, solidarity to this issue? We see it, we don't like it either." and it hurts us. It's hurting, it causes conversations, uncomfortable conversations in our home. And my thing is this: I feel like we have to stand together, and you have to fight for the most uncomfortable part of this, which means you have to say to people in your family, you have to say to friends in your family, not excusing any bad behavior from anyone, but you have to say they have been given no leeway whatsoever. I can steal a pack of gum and just get told get out of the store. She could steal a pack of gum and she could end up dead.
Dead.
You know what I'm saying?
Like a
Isn't
little
that a
girl
big
in New
difference to
York.
you? Isn't
Yeah.
that so if you see that, you can't say, well, she shouldn't have stole the gum. We both shouldn't have stole it. We both shouldn't have stole anything. But why is one ending up dead and the other one is just being told just to give it back and get out of the store? If you don't say anything about that and start saying, I mean, you see it during the trial of the person who killed George Floyd. He's on trial. George Floyd is on trial for being killed.
Being
And
killed.
it's say something. Say something. Don't say, well, if he complied, he wouldn't have been dead. Well, if he
You
had
saying
been
that
on
you want your
drugs.
white friends to help change the narrative
Yes,
about what's going on by acknowledging the disparate treatment and consequences that are being meted out?
the woman that killed Dante Wright. They every even the news channels that I watch, they're spinning it, and their language is like, well, clearly she made a mistake. Stop it. Stop saying she made a mistake. See it through my eyes. There couldn't have been a mistake made. Say it first. Then if she made a mistake, let's find out that second. But start with the narrative is, how could she have done something like that with the equipment and been on the force that many years? How could this have been a mistake? And could her mind have, even say it, could her mind been malice that day? Could she have woke up with an agenda of, today's the day I'm going to get me a black guy?
Because
Start saying that, change
whoever
the
said
narrative,
taser,
because that's what I feel.
Mhm.
That's what I think. I think she could have woke up that day and said, you know what, I want one of them too. And you say, well, how sick and malice could that be? Just as easy as possible. Just as easy. You've seen the text messages of several police officers that was released, I think it was 2019, where they all had said that. Where there were several ones where they had said, I need to get one under my belt. And it was, and they were fired, but it didn't stop the fact that it was said, you know.
It's even bigger. It doesn't stop the fact that there's that underlying culture
Not at
in the
all.
police departments across the country. Those are just a few who happen to get caught
That's a few
and
who
got
happen to get caught.
subjected to discipline.
Yes.
But what about
Yes.
all the rest of them? And I think that what's going on in this country shows us that there is a mentality of that nature.
I agree. I agree. And it's so hurtful for me to say to my friends or my associates that you have got to start opening your mouth and saying, I feel so sorry for her. I can't imagine her going home knowing she grabbed her Glock instead of a taser and killed a young man dead center in mass in his chest as he drove away with his beautiful son waiting on him, and his beautiful mother and father waiting on him, and his significant other waiting on him. I can't imagine what that feels like. You can't feel sorry for her. Stop feeling sorry for her. Just feel sorry for the person who can't come home anymore, because they are literally saying it like, oh, I can't imagine what she's going through. I can't imagine how awful she feel. You heard her say, oh my God, she
Wonder
shot.
why I don't watch the news,
What do
because
you
I
mean?
can't have those kinds of, look
Right, but what
at
do you
how frustrated you are. But this is the mainstream media narrative that is being pushed. And I'm sure if you, because I did a whole video on that too, of course,
yeah,
but I'm sure if you change every channel, all those people are saying that same thing, because this is what they're being told to feed to American society. The narrative that we have to feel sorry for the murderer because she's a white woman,
mhm.
instead of for the victim because he's a mixed race male.
I truly agree. And I feel like we always see this, and I've seen it. I have not seen one case yet where there was a white commentator who said something that I feel like I could be just so at ease and exhale and say, thank you for seeing it my way.
Mhm.
There was this one incident where there was a black guy who I mean, he gave this white kid a real nasty clothes hanger to the throat on the basketball court. And I remember the white commentators feeling like, that was the worst thing that a person could have ever done. Well, there is no place in the sport for that. That is just a dirty hit and he should be kicked off. And it angered me so much because I was like, wow, I didn't even know y'all could express yourself like this because I've never heard you say this about anything. And I've seen these white people on TV doing some things that I want you all to feel like that about. I've never heard you say, well, there's no place for that. That's just dirty. That I've seen a white guy spit in a black football player's face. And I remember that, like, oh, well, that's going to really rile him up. That's going to piss him off. Huh? I need you to be that angry. Same intensity. And that's what I mean by I need you to change the narrative. I need my friends to start saying the exact same anger you see. And I'm not saying that you're not there. Because like I said, the woman in this case where the little boy in South Carolina was, walking through his very own neighborhood and was bullied by this military guy, and was bullied by him. There was white people that came to his rescue. And I say rescue because that's what they did. Who knows how much longer he had on this earth dealing with that guy and whatever him and his wife were going to spend. So they saw what happened. They didn't like it and they protected him.
And
So
now his wife is, just to veer off for a minute, is pretending that the little boy tried to sexually assault her. And her husband was,
it sounded like they said it was a girl. Like there was just
oh,
some
some
random
other girl.
girl. Yeah, some random girl ran and knocked on his door and said, "Help me." He pulled at my t-shirt, he pulled at my shorts in the dog park, or we got in an argument at the something. There's trying to spin some narrative, but it's not flying because it's
Because
like
even if that were true, his behavior is not the proper response. The proper response is you stay here where you're protected. I'll call the police.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, that's not
But
really
even
that's not a good response for a black male
even the
leader.
argument, you never brought that up in this argument. Like she came running to my door and said that you were saying, why are you walking through this neighborhood? Why are you here? Where do you live? I'm gonna walk you home. Like that was no, that's what does that have to do with someone knocking on your door saying they were screaming in the middle of the street, help, help, help. No one answered. So I had to run past 10 houses and find this one guy house to go to. Like, I don't know. I think they need to look into that. I think I really do. I think you might need to look into him having a relationship with this person who knocked on the door screaming this fake stuff. And
But did that happen? Or are they just making
they're
that up?
just saying this is what she came out on, I guess, a press conference in the neighborhood and said. I didn't see that part. They've never filmed that and put that on. That was just part of the video that I was watching where the young guy said, now they're spinning this sexual assault, which we already know that's the go-to thing.
Yeah, we know that. We've seen
Have you had that
black
conversation?
kids killed. We've seen black men. Yeah, we did, where we said that they ruined, sometimes they ruin athletes'
Mhm.
careers by
Yeah.
saying that there was a sexual assault when
Yeah.
they've gotten caught having consensual sex
Yeah.
with a
Or
black
he decides to not take them to the next level with him.
man.
If he's getting
So he doesn't
drafted
want
and
to
they
get
see that,
married or
yeah,
whatever.
you were just something I was hooking up with while I was doing this and doing that. Now I need to ruin your life. So we have one day we'll open the Pandora's box and tell them as black women what we can say sometimes at our table. But for right now, I think we should,
And
you know,
so you said, we watched a little news clip that said that this third degree assault charge carries a maximum fine of $500 or 30 days in jail.
yeah,
So that's the most this man can get
that's the most he can
for
get for
what
right
he
now.
did. If they even go through with the charges, if they even convict him of them,
Mhm.
because just because they file the charges doesn't mean that anything is actually going to happen.
Well, in the case of the lieutenant in Virginia, the police officer took him in the back of the truck and said, "Listen, you can go on. Your superiors don't have to hear about this incident, and it won't go on your record, or you can tell them, and it can ruin your life." So my thing is this: if that traffic stop was being told to him that it could ruin his life, shouldn't this incident where you bullied and put your hands on a citizen ruin this person's career and life in the military? I mean, don't you think that should be an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth with that?
But that's not how America works.
Oh,
I mean, at the end of the day, that's not how America works. There's one set of rules for us, there's another set of rules for them. there's one set of rules that are supposed to, there's one set of rules that is supposed to apply to everyone,
Mm.
but that's just not our reality.
Well, did you hear that the reason why they would stop teaching cursive in high school and middle school and then elementary school is because the Constitution is written in cursive, and that way no one can be able to
Now,
read
I
it anymore?
totally miss conspiracy theory, but that one even is a bit much for me. I
That was
believe that.
so
Do you believe
hilarious.
that?
Well, not hilarious in a bad way, but that was so hilarious. It made me think, like, really? Well, we do have translators, so but hey, then we would have to have someone to translate the cursive for our future.
I
But
mean, anything is possible, but we certainly have a million typewritten copies of the Constitution. So
should be
I
word
don't
for
know
word
how.
somewhere, right?
Yeah,
But
I
it
don't know.
is funny that my kids do not know how to read cursive. That is funny to me.
They know how to write it though, right?
No, I don't even think they know how to write it.
My
No.
kids learn
Mm.
cursive in
They
school.
did. Mine didn't.
And
I didn't even know it until they were in high school that they didn't know how to write, because I wrote something to them in cursive. It's like, Mom, we can't read this. And I was like, what do you mean you can't read it?
well, we need to
Like,
go
"Mom."
ahead and teach them. That's something that could be useful. But I think that one of the things that I've been doing this week while I've been fasting in solidarity with a couple of my Muslim girlfriends who are doing Ramadan, while
Mhm.
they're praying and all that, I had decided that I would look further into African spirituality. I'm
Mhm.
fasting with them and I spend my time doing that. And I've been watching some information by Professor James Smalls, who is
Mm.
renowned for his knowledge of African spirituality.
Mhm.
And
I love
some of the
him.
yeah, he's phenomenal. And some of the things that he's saying are really sticking out to me, which is the main thing we need to do to protect ourselves is to get in control of our economics,
Mhm.
to get in control of our economics so that we're able to provide clothes, food, shelter, and safety to ourselves and our communities, and to control where our dollars are spent. And he's making
I agree with
examples
that.
like, why are you going to the Korean shop getting your nails done when the sister in the church has a beauty parlor and they're going out of business?
Mhm.
Why are Arabs, Chinese, Latinos, everybody else in our community making money and we're sitting around broke, and every dollar we
Yeah.
do get, we run and give it to them? Black people have to come together and understand that until we work together with each other to strengthen our community and our homeland, now this is just me talking,
Mhm.
he might feel that way too, but I certainly say, and our homeland, everybody else has a place. Like, the Chinese government can intervene on behalf of Chinese citizens that are facing certain things in this or other
Oh
country.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Italian government can intervene.
Why
They,
do you think
well,
there's
we don't
far
have
food in
anybody.
between?
We'll have it
No.
until we fix up and bolster up and strengthen our motherland. We're just floating around aimlessly and we have nothing or
I feel
no
like
one.
Atlanta has gotten ahead, and they're really trying to sabotage Atlanta right now because Tyler Perry, and he has that mega studio down there, and they're trying to take a lot of businesses from Atlanta, which I hope as Black people we still stand in solidarity and don't let that happen. But um, Will Smith has pulled out some movies, which I think was so stupid of him. Like, come on, dude.
Pulled out some movies from Tyler Perry Studios.
Yeah, because of the vote. I mean, yeah, because of the disparity with the votes. They were taking out, they were adding and taking out certain things that bring privilege to the African Americans
Okay,
voting.
so hang on, because I don't know what you're talking about, and
Okay,
maybe other people don't either.
okay.
So what is it that's going
So
on?
in Atlanta, they had developed laws. They passed laws to stop early voting, to stop the absentee, ballots coming in, not counting them. Everything that Black people normally did, they did. They stopped the Sunday service. Like when they left church, they would take them. A bus, I guess, would take lots of Black people. All of the things that would help Black people to come out and vote in abundance, they halted. They made laws to prevent 4 or 5 white men did it, and they did it in a
Oh,
closed
when
door.
they arrested the
Absolutely.
okay, the
So
politician who
for
was knocking
yeah,
on the door, the black woman. Okay.
right. So for that, they moved the All-Star baseball game out of Atlanta, which takes money away from Atlanta. They all
Who
and
is
then
they? Who is
um the National Baseball League moved the All-Star baseball game out. It was in Atlanta. It was supposed to be played in Atlanta, but they moved it to, I forgot where they moved it, but they moved it. So that takes money out of Atlanta. And then Will Smith just announced that he pulled, I think, like maybe 2 movies that he was supposed to be filming in Atlanta. Which in my mind, I can't even wrap my mind around that. Like, really, dude, that's not helping out at all. You're taking money from out of a black studio that's supposed. And
They know better. This is what they're being told. You know my view that celebrities are puppets who do
so, well, that would mean that
even
would be a direct.
especially household name celebrities.
Mhm.
You don't get to that level without playing the game. So I
And I didn't hear Tyler Perry come out yet and say, it was being filmed at his studio, or was Will Smith just making a movie down from Hollywood in Atlanta. But either way, it would have brought, recognition to film studios being in Atlanta. Because I'm quite sure if they needed to film something, first thing they would do is use the Tyler Perry studio.
Will Smith knows better than that. I
Right.
understand what you're saying, that there's some problems in Georgia. They've enacted some racially discriminatory
Mhm.
voting laws,
Mhm.
and now people are pulling their businesses out of Atlanta in
Right.
retaliation. But
But Atlanta was
people that
thriving.
are really hurting are the very people they claim to be trying to support.
Right, but I don't believe that, because Atlanta literally was carrying the black movement on its back. I mean, you have so many black businesses, so many wealthy black people who live there with business. And like you were saying with the nail salons, you don't have to go to an Asian salon in Atlanta. There's several black salons, hair salons, everything, anything that we pamper ourselves with or we use frequently, they have that in Atlanta. So my thing is this: when you take the money from something that's thriving as a, even though they have their faults, you're hurting instead of helping. I mean, it's just like PG County.
They know that. If you know that and I know that, they know that. Now, why are they doing it anyway? I mean, the National Basketball Association,
Mhm.
or whatever it is that you're talking about, does
Baseball.
it, the National Baseball League,
Mhm.
whatever it is, does.
It was Major League. It was MLB, so it's Major League Baseball.
Okay, so Major League Baseball doesn't have as its true goal the protection, economic empowerment of Black people, but somebody like Will Smith should.
Right.
Other people know better. And so
Right.
I don't know.
And I bring up PG County, and the reason why is because I met a man just recently, and I asked where did he live, and he said he lived in Kings Manor, and I said, "You do?"
Rockville.
Hmm?
Kings Manor's in Rockville, isn't it?
No, Kings Manor is also in Kings Place. Also, they're right in PG County, right across from like Largo High School and
Oh, really?
Six Flags. Yeah, they have a whole community, and it's
Okay.
always been African American. 90% has been African American, and the other 10% might have been of Indian descent or
I'm not
biracial
familiar
descent.
with that particular, but anyway, let me hear what you have to say. Go ahead.
Well, when he gave me the address to where he lived, I said, "You live there?" He said, "I knew you were going to say that." And I said, "Really?" He said, "I get that from every black person when I tell them I live there." I said, "Well, when did they integrate it?" He's like, "Listen, let me tell you, I was shocked too. And it's the most beautiful place. I love it. Everybody's sweet. Everybody's so
The
welcoming
white
there."
man you're talking to.
Yes. And all my life, and even my best friends, they live there. They live in the neighborhood. They live in the area. It was only the Redskin football players who were black lived there. The Bullets, the Wizards
You
basketball
talking
team.
about Woodmore?
Huh? Woodmore, yeah. Woodmore area has
Woodmore.
Kings Manor.
Okay.
Woodmore is that whole area. They have a black golf course there.
Mhm.
Every single thing there was black. And he said, "Yeah, it's getting slowly but surely integrated." I'm like, "Well, why?
Ticking me
Why?"
off, which is really ticking me off because you didn't want us in your communities. Now we move with our affluence to a location and it is Black, and we have
Mhm.
created phenomenal neighborhoods. We've created shopping. We've
Yeah.
created parks,
Magic
golf
Johnson Theater was
courses,
there.
all kind.
Mhm.
Well, that was a nightmare, but we
Mhm.
created all kind. Well, it became a
It
nightmare.
became a nightmare, right?
Yeah, but we created all kind of stuff because you didn't want us in yours. So we
Right.
built our own. And now we can hardly look around without seeing you guys.
Remember when
Go
DC
to
was called
the
Chocolate
places
City?
that you don't want us to, that made us decide to build our own. They are always so, and I don't mean that individual man you're
No.
talking about,
No,
but
no,
they're
no.
always so intimidated about us saying, look, we're going to pull back and do our own thing over here. They don't,
And I even asked him. I said, "Well, can I ask you, is your wife black?" He's like, "No, no, no, no." I said, "And I'm not asking you, should you be this, uncomfortable, but I'm just saying, how did you find that place? He said, our realtor we had, showed us a couple different houses, and we got a lot for our buck here. And I was shocked, and I wanted to go into depth with him. What I meant by that is because I grew up in DC. Like, not, I didn't, I lived there, but I also
You know,
frequent.
our timer went off, so we
Oh,
got to wrap it up.
okay.
We could talk about it next week, though. I mean to cut you off.
Okay. No, that's
But
fine.
we're going to talk about in our next
Mhm.
episode, we're going to talk about the integration forced, because no black people walking around asking them to come there. The forced integration of black affluent neighborhoods by white people. I'm not going to say forced. Nobody's forcing them, but the integration of affluent
Who is
black
nobody forcing them?
neighborhoods.
We definitely have to talk about that because they are being forced. When you raise taxes and you don't let people get, loans and or redo their lease on their businesses, you force people livelihoods to move and change places and stuff. So yeah, it's some forcing going on. But yeah, maybe we got to start having other people come on and tell us, real estate agents of like, how is this happening? How is this integration
And think
happening?
about this too. If a group of white rednecks, Klansmen, skinheads, just white rednecks are standing around and a black person walks by, they're going to be harassed. If a lily white neighborhood has a black family move in, they're going to have some problems.
Mhm.
Why is it that they can move into our neighborhoods and they can walk down our streets without having a problem?
I don't.
Because he's telling you how welcoming everybody is and all of that. Well, that never, even in 2021, that doesn't
Well,
happen when
let's
black
save that for
folks
the
move into
next week
white
too, because we
neighborhoods.
can have my son come on because he had something he said to me when he lived in DC. He said, "Yeah, the black people don't rob the white people," and that stuck with me. So maybe we can visit that question then and find out like how does that iron strike both ways.
Perfect. All right. So we got some stuff to look forward to on our next episode. And as always, we are grateful that you all joined us for this one. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
All right.